What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday, we had some big news for one of my favorite games of 2020, that being Ghost of Tsushima, where we will be seeing a whole new expansion head to the game, as well as a bunch of updates and upgrades going from the PS4 to the PS5. However, we did have quite a bit of controversy erupt online after the pricing structure was announced going from the PS4 to the PS5. We're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we're going to be talking about a new studio that Sony has announced they are acquiring that gives us an idea as to some of their ports here going into the future. And we're also going to talk about that supposed deal that is going on right now between Kojima and Microsoft, as new reports are saying it's starting to ramp up. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that little notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads going up here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Deathloop. It's out in a little over 2 months now, that being September 14th, but we now know how large the game is going to be when you go to download it. You can see this tweet here. This was from PlayStation Game Size, saying the download size is 17.322 gigabytes with preload starting 2 days before on September 12th. I saw this tweet go up and people were wondering, wait a minute, is that the day one patch? And I mean, that's just where we are now. We expect our games to be 40, 50, 60 gigabytes in size. But remember, Mark Cerny had mentioned before during that little lecture that he had where game sizes could actually shrink because we'd have this faster SSD and we would not require the redundant game files that a slower mechanical hard drive from the PS4, for example, would need. So I hope this trend continues because the PS5 isn't exactly a spacious system when it comes to its internal memory. And as we have games like Call of Duty generally taking up a good chunk of it as it is, I like seeing games like this that are like 17 gigabytes in size. Sure, over a decade ago, that would have probably been considered a larger game, but like now with, 100 gigabyte games seemingly being the norm, this is actually nice to see. Also, we have EA Play Live later on this month, and one of the biggest rumors going on right now has to do with a Dead Space revival of some kind. Of course, EA shut down Visceral, and Dead Space kind of went away for a little while there after that. But it looks like we might be seeing something with Dead Space later on this month at EA Play Live. We can see this here. This was through VGC from GamesBeat, where they say Dead Space 4 is reportedly a full remake inspired by recent Resident Evils. Motive said to be taking notes from Capcom's Resident Evil remakes. And I mean, it's hard for EA not to notice how well Resident Evil 2 remake, just as an example, did. It was even up there as like a Game of the Year nominee, right? So obviously EA saw that and said, well, we could probably remake something. What do we have? Dead Space? All right. I mean, the big thing here, though, is I feel like Resident Evil 2 did so well. One, it was really high quality, and obviously there was a lot of nostalgia for the PS1 version coming up to the PS4 and the Xbox One, but that was a pretty big jump. We'd be looking at a 360 game jumping up to, an Xbox One and a PS4, because I still think EA would release it on those platforms. I don't think it would just be a Series X and a PS5 only game. So I don't know if the jump will be as large, but it was mentioned that they would have different gameplay elements from later Dead Spaces kind of put in there. So I think at this point, people are just ready to have Dead Space come back in some meaningful way. And even if it's a remake like this, it would actually be pretty cool to see. Oh, and while we're on the topic of EA Play Live, it looks like there are 2 games we can look forward to not seeing at EA Play Live. This is from BioWare over on Twitter, where they say, we're hard at work creating the next Dragon Age and Mass Effect games and have some exciting stuff coming to Star Wars The Old Republic this year. While I won't be showing anything at EA Play Live, be sure to check out our Star Wars live stream and all of that later on. But I at least like when companies or studios will say, hey, we're not going to be there, because, let's face it, we would have all gone into EA Play Live thinking, well, I guess we're going to see Dragon Age here. Apparently not. We're not going to see that or Mass Effect. And for me, I'm like, you know what, BioWare? Take whatever time you need with those. I really don't want to see either of those franchises messed up. And I don't know if Mass Effect can handle it again after what we saw with Andromeda, but Dragon Age has had apparently some sketchy development based on reports. So whenever they're ready to show it, that's fine. I'd prefer that the next time they show Dragon Age, they at least have gameplay ready, but we'll see. Just don't expect it, obviously, at the end of this month with EA Play Live. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. This was announced yesterday, and it will be coming out August 20th. It will have an entirely new expansion added to the game and the story. And we're gonna head over here to PlayStation Blog, where they kind of outline what we can expect here getting closer to that August 20th release date, where they say if you're a history buff, you may know that in addition to Tsushima, the neighboring island of Iki was also invaded during this this time period. Today we're excited to reveal that a whole new chapter in Jin's journey is coming and will take place on Iki. In this new story, Jin travels to the island to investigate rumors of a Mongol presence, but soon he finds himself caught up in events with deeply personal stakes that will force him to relive some traumatic moments from his past. We'll have more to share about the story of Iki soon, but today we can confirm that beyond a whole new story and new characters, this new island also features tons of new content, including brand new environments to explore, new armor for Jin, as well as his horse, new minigames, new techniques, new enemy types, and much more. There are even new animals to pet, and for any of you big trophy hunters, they say on both platforms, Director's Cut will also offer new trophies to unlock for the new Iki content. Now we can see a nice little image here, just kind of going over some of the different things that will be included with the Director's Cut on PS5, with the full game PS5 version features being dynamic 4K resolution targeting 60 FPS, 3D audio, Japanese lip sync, which they say they are able to now take the different cutscenes and render it in real time for the PS5, as opposed to, I guess, they had to do more pre-rendered stuff on the PS4, so they're able to kind of have the lip sync work correctly for Japanese, which is great. Haptic feedback and then adaptive triggers will also be used. And when this game releases on August 20th, there will be two different versions at retail, a PS4 copy and a PS5 copy, with them priced as you'd expect, $60 and then $70. But let's say you already have the game on the PS4, you can start paying different amounts of money depending on where you want to experience, and I guess even what you want to experience. And this is kind of where people got confused and even frustrated with what Sony's doing here, but let's take a look at what they said here on the PlayStation blog. If you already own Ghost of Tsushima on PS4, you can pre-order and upgrade to Director's Cut on PS4 for $19.99. This upgrade will become available starting on August 20th. Starting on August 20th, if you bought Director's Cut for PS4, you'll be able to upgrade to Director's Cut PS5 at any time for $9.99. You can also upgrade directly from original Ghost of Tsushima PS4 to Director's Cut on PS5 for $29.99. So the idea here is, if you want to stay on PS4, the expansion will cost you $20. To me, all right, I mean, that seems about right for DLC. It's hard to judge the value of this new expansion before we've played it, or at least heard more about it from someone who's not Sony, who's obviously trying to sell us on the expansion. Basically, when this becomes available for reviewers and they can tell us how long it is, how much content is actually there on that island, how much extra stuff is there to unlock, and obviously how much time could you realistically put into this piece of content, that's when we can kind of step back and say, okay, yeah, that's worth $20, or no, it's only like 2 hours, and I'll hold off on that. The big thing that seemed to catch people off guard is that Sony is charging a $10 fee essentially to upgrade from the PS4 version to the PS5. See, because we have the expansion at $20, and then if you want to go to the PS5, it's another $10, or you can go directly from the PS4 copy you have now that maybe you've been playing on your PS5, and for an additional $30, just jump straight to the PS5 version of the Director's Cut, or buy either at retail, $60 or $70, and then if you get the PS4 version, you gotta throw another $10 on there, then go up to the PS5 version later. You understand all that, right? Yeah, the whole thing with what we've seen before with Sony and some of the upgrade paths has been a little strange, more with third parties, but now we're starting to get a clearer view as to, I think, how Sony's gonna treat things like some of their other cross-gen titles coming up, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, God of War. And this was a question I had posed in a previous video. If you are Sony, how do you handle this, considering you have now pushed the price from $60 to $70? See, Microsoft, while they're being compared, obviously Sony and Microsoft, when it comes to them being both console manufacturers and first-party developers for those systems, they're handling things a little differently. We know Microsoft, Game Pass, all of this. Also, though, their games are still $60. If you look online, Halo Infinite, $60. We have Forza Horizon 5 at $60 at retail, whereas Sony did move up to $70. The only issue is they're still selling PS4 copies. If they did a clean break to the PS5, there wouldn't be any conversation here at all around really any of these games coming up. But now, how do they do this? How do they put a $60 PS4 game here and then a $70 PS5 game here, but allow you to upgrade for free from that PS4 copy? Why wouldn't we all just buy the PS4 copy? But also you have to keep in mind, if you look around at some of the third parties, like we just had Final Fantasy VII Intergrade come out, and that was just a free update, right? You just go from the PS4 version to the PS5 with some of the extra things like photo mode and obviously better looking visuals, frame rate, all of that stuff, faster load times. But the DLC for Yuffie is only on the PS5. They didn't provide it to PlayStation 4 users. So I guess they figure, hey, if you're going to use that update, you'll probably end up also buying this expansion because you obviously want to play the Yuffie content as well, just to kind of get up to date on everything that's happening there. Sony is doing this whole thing, like I said, where they're just kind of walking the tightrope between either generation, and it's a very weird time for them currently. This isn't something they've really done before in the past with so many first-party cross-gen titles. So we'll see what happens when Horizon Forbidden West comes out. When that does come out, are we going to have a PS4 version then also needs another $10 on top to go to the PS5 version? As for Ghost of Tsushima, I'm looking forward to it. I like Ghost of Tsushima. I think it was a great game in 2020. I think the update path here is a bit odd to me. I feel like, hey, you just make it free, and then if you want the extra content, you buy it, of course. That's, I don't think, the biggest issue there. But again, comes down to that cross-gen stuff that Sony is currently trying to wrestle with, and that $70 price tag all wrapped into one. Next up, let's talk about that supposed deal that's in the works between Kojima and Microsoft. This was over on VentureBeat through Jeff Grubb, where they say Hideo Kojima and Microsoft have signed a letter of intent that states the two parties intend to work out the details on a publishing agreement for a new Xbox game, according to sources familiar with the matter. This is a key step in the negotiations between the Metal Gear Solid creator and the Xbox company. This signifies that both parties have agreed to a generalized deal while lawyers continue hashing out the finer points. As for what Kojima's game actually is, few people know the point of the partnership is to unlock the creativity of Kojima Productions using Microsoft's technology as opposed to greenlighting a specific pitch. So I guess the idea now is Kojima can just kind of play around with the idea of using the power of the cloud to create his new idea or his new game or his new world that I'm sure he's thinking of. That's the thing with Kojima, we never know what he's going to come up with because he comes up with some stuff that's like way out there that no one would have really thought of previously. So that's one reason I'm very excited to find out what he could do with something like Microsoft's Azure and kind of intertwine that into his own world and lore that he creates, kind of a connecting everyone. Because remember, that was the idea that he had with Death Stranding, was connecting and relationships, and it was kind of a cool thing that he was trying to describe, but it almost felt like he couldn't get quite all the way there with what he was, I guess, limited to without something like cloud computing. So yeah, let's see what Kojima can come up with here. Now, this is still, I think, still rumor territory, obviously, because nothing's been announced. But, I mean, if they are to the point where a letter of intent has been signed and Kojima starts looking around and like, okay, I could do this and this, maybe they get to a point where they put together a trailer for the Game Awards, or maybe this is something they would announce like next year's E3. Basically, we're still way off for anything tangible to come out of this, but I like at least the idea of Kojima thinking about using a publishing deal through Microsoft, funding from them, and even their technology, just see what he could really push from the power of the cloud. Next up, let's talk about a new studio acquisition that Sony announced yesterday, and this is for Nixxes. It is a porting company, mostly, but it makes sense based around what Sony is working to do in the PC space. We'll head over here. This was actually posted up on their website from Herman Holst, who says, I highly respect Nixxes and am excited for this very experienced team to become part of the world-class development community at SIE. They have a passion for improving games and for delivering the best possible experience for gamers. Nixxes will be a strong asset for everyone across PlayStation Studios, helping our teams focus on their most important goal, which is to create unique PlayStation content at the best possible quality. And we can see kind of the nice little graphic they made there, similar to the one they did for Housemarque before. But if we go over and look at Nixxes' history, they have been doing quite a bit of work for porting games to Windows and PC, and recently did some work with the Avengers as well, because for a lot of the stuff with Hawkeye. But if you kind of look down their resume here, Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 2018, Deus Ex Mankind Divided 2016, both of those for PC, Rise of the Tomb Raider for the 360 and for the PC, Thief for Windows, and then so on. They've been porting games for a long time. Based on some of the lists I've seen, it's back to like even the Dreamcast for like Legacy of Kain. So this isn't some new studio or anything like that. They know what they're doing. And the biggest part here is they would be running support, obviously. I think most people look at what they've done and what they, I guess, want to do even as they go along here. I don't believe Sony picked them up for them to go out and make the next big IP. I believe that they're going to be there to help support things like moving a game to PC, like maybe Uncharted 4, just, is the next one coming up. They could come in and just work to smooth out any issues or bugs that are present ahead of launch, because we have seen things like Horizon Zero Dawn come out, and that had quite a few problems. Now, I believe Days Gone's been a bit better, but still, it doesn't hurt to just bring in a studio who is very talented, obviously, and knows what they're doing with these different games going to PC, or even just running support for other PlayStation games. Like I said, if they can just come in and help fix and find bugs with games that are just coming out on the PS5, that helps Sony as well, because it's less things that you would have like talent at Naughty Dog do, and they can kind of work on, as they say, the creative side of things and kind of building out the game. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about PSP games. PlayStation Portable is supposed to be discontinued, I believe today, and that's on the PlayStation Store, but it looks like it's not as clear-cut as we originally thought. This was updated over on PlayStation's website. We can see this here, PlayStation Store for PlayStation Portable, and they go over a few things here, which includes what does this mean for you for the discontinued PlayStation apps, features, and services. When the PlayStation Store for PSP was previously closed in 2016, you're still able to perform searches and make in-game purchases. Starting July 6, 2021, you'll no longer be able to perform searches or make in-game purchases. Sounds pretty straightforward there of them shutting the PSP down, but look at the bottom here. What about PSP content that is available for purchase on PS3 and PS Vita stores? They say you'll still be able to purchase and play PSP content that is available on the PS3 and PS Vita stores. However, you'll no longer be able to make purchases via the in-game store for PSP content. So anyone out there who was concerned, oh, all the PSP games are gone digitally, I won't be able to buy any at all. Not the case, just not on your PSP. You can buy it on your PS3, and then you can also buy it on your Vita, and then I guess just download it on your PSP, or I guess download it on your PS3 and then transfer it over to your PSP. There are a few ways you can do it, but basically, it's still available, at least for now. And I said that with the PS3 and the Vita. I think the time is limited on those, and once those get shut down, then there will be no accessing the PSP at all. So you can still buy stuff, and you may want to do that as we go along here, especially when you hear about the PS3 store and the Vita store getting shut down, because that would then tell us, yeah, this is when the PSP like games for download are definitely gone. But good to know they're at least still available in some way. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, how do you feel about Sony charging $10 to upgrade from PS4 to PS5 games and getting extra graphical features and quality of life improvements with games like Ghost of Tsushima? And not surprisingly, 81% said I don't like it. Other games do the upgrades for free. And then 19% said it's fine. This is the difference in pricing anyway. I am curious if people like mainstream, right, will just walk into a store and be like, well, that makes sense to me. I'll get the PS4 version now, and if I want the PS5 version, I'll pay the $10 difference. Not even being aware that some third-party games just do the upgrade for free. It's, like I said, it's this odd situation that Sony is in right now, where they decided they want to put games on the PS4, but still charge $70 for the PS5 version. If they didn't make that $70 jump, this would be a very straightforward process of two $60 games there, right? You just pick which one you need. But here we are now with Sony, cross-gen, $70, and kind of a messy situation around how you even upgrade and what you have to pay. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Alvaro saying, being a Nintendo investor must be so weird. So can you tell us, what are you using our money for? Nintendo says, no. And it's gotta be kind of strange being Nintendo in that situation, because I'm sure in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, we got this revision that's going to be getting announced here in a few weeks, but I can't tell you about this. So we're just going to give you this really vague, roundabout answer so we don't get accused of stock manipulation or lying to investors. I mean, I'm sure they have all kinds of things right now in mind that they would be like, yeah, you might as well just go and invest millions of dollars because we're about to make all these crazy announcements. It's going to be great. But instead, they're like, we're always working on hardware, so, keep an eye out. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut? What do you think about the expansion that's been announced, the new island to explore, and then, of course, the pricing structure that they announced? Also, what about that studio that has been acquired here by Sony? I think they're looking to do more PC ports here pretty soon. And what about this apparent deal that's going on between Kojima and Microsoft? What plans do you think Kojima has for the power of the cloud? Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.